So let's get a little bit more serious. We, as your friend, I've seen your struggles with your health the last couple of years, and
Yeah.
your close friends and family and fans will know that we've almost lost you on multiple occasions. Would you mind sharing
Yeah.
with our audience what your health issues are and what you dealt with, what you're dealing with currently, etc.? And I know this goes hand in hand with your sobriety as well. So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So the big thing right now is that I have a well, it's a multitude of different things, but the crazy thing is that I have a thing called esophageal and gastrial varices, and I have basically like if all of your main or veins in your body that transport blood to your liver and then filters it out and then brings it back, all those main roads, all the really important ones, um, those things are clotted off. All of them are clotted off inside my body, and it's allowed it to basically like kink hoses, and then it builds up pressure and it creates varices inside my body. Um, and that comes from a blood mutation that had apparently been sitting dormant for years and years and years. And then I had a car accident, and I got hit in my lower left abdomen, and it gave me what they call a DVT, which is a portal vein thrombosis, and it basically I didn't know it at the time, but it shut off blood flow to my liver, and so my liver is cirrhotic. It because it's not getting enough blood to let it survive, basically. But the crazy thing is that the body is pretty amazing, and it opened up. There's all these little side veins that come out of that you don't hardly ever use. Well, when something is clotted off like that, your body reroutes that to that, and then it starts using those, which is the reason why I'm still here, kind of. Um, but the I didn't know that I was that bad off. Like I didn't know that it would just start shutting things off. Like I didn't know that. So in February of last year, I was came home from a show, and I told my wife, I was like, man, I'm hurting all over my body. Like it's just like my back, my legs, like everything. Like I'm like something's wrong. And I said, I'm gonna get a shower. Maybe it'll loosen some things up. I am older.
yeah,
Maybe loosen some things up. Maybe I'm just sore or whatever. And I said maybe it'll take care of it. And the next thing you know, I sit down in the restroom. I sit down to take my shoes and stuff off, and I blacked out. And when I woke up, there was just, I mean, the walls and everything was painted red and everything. Like it was just like I was hemorrhaging like crazy. And whenever you get to that kind of thing, well, at least to me, my safe spot is the shower. I don't know. I have no idea why. And so I'm yelling for my wife, but I can't get the sound out. And by some miraculous thing, even with our air conditioner in our bedroom, she heard me, which was crazy, and she got up to come check on me. And I had stood up to get in, just to try to get into the bathtub and the shower, and I slipped and I hit my head like on the shower, and then fell into the shower, and then I still reached and turned the water on. So
golly, man.
so there I was, like just upside down with the shower running, and it was pretty incredible. And then she got in there and she was like, "Hey, I'm calling the ambulance for this, that, let's get you up and going." So I felt a little bit better once a lot of that came out, and then but I looked over at my wife and I said, "Hey, I don't think I'm going to make it." And she's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Nah, this is it this time. Like I don't think I'm going to make it." And so she was like, "Well, let's get an ambulance and this, that, and the other." And so they took me to Jacksonville, and I got to Jacksonville and I told the lady I was on the I guess the uh, ambulance bed. They rolled me in, and I said, and I looked over at the nurse and I said, "Hey, y'all gonna need to hurry." And she's like, "Why? Your vitals are fine." I was like, "This is it. Like y'all don't understand. I'm really pissed and go." I said, "Yeah, I feel it. I really really feel it." So then they a couple other things happened, and they life flighted me to Tyler. And by the time I got to Tyler, which was pretty crazy that I got to do the life flight thing, that was pretty cool. I mean, it's not the way you want to go on life flight, but I'm just saying.
Clint, jeez, man.
But I will tell you this:
Life flight, those pilots are absolutely amazing. And it was freezing outside. It was February, and we're on that little landing pad, and they're rolling me out of a helicopter, and I had literally nothing on but boxers. That's all I had, and it was freezing outside. And the guy turns around and he says, "Hey, let me grab you a blanket. Are you cold?" And I was looking straight up at the sky, and I just told him, I was like, "It's awesome out here. It's so awesome out here." And he started panicking. Like he was like, he's going, and he was running with me like full on sprint into the hospital. And he was like, he's going. And then shortly after that, I blacked out, and I have no recollection from that for the next like 72 hours.
And I remember this. I remember this
story.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's all I hear is stories for the next 72 hours. Like,
yeah.
I hear stories about like how many people showed up and like how many people prayed, and like
Yep.
I remember being in the hospital, and there were people. When I say like, I mean, I don't ever force religion on anybody. I would never do that in a million years, ever. But I will say it was really strange to be laying there and not being able to move, and have people pray over you in different languages. Like I knew people. I've known people for years, but I don't know their religions. Because I don't ever bring it up. Like that's your business. Like if you want to do that, that's cool. Like I'm totally cool with whatever. But it was so crazy to hear like people come in and be like, "Hey, is it okay if I pray?" And I was like, "I get." I'm not nodding my head, And then they just got going these different languages, and it was all walks of life. It was crazy. Like my wife is telling me bedside, and there's like 4,000 people praying for you right now. Like it's crazy. And I'm just like, what are you talking about? Because I don't have my phone or anything. I can't see. I'm just strapped down to this thing with all this gear in my face and all these, And I'm just like, what are you talking? I don't know what you're talking about. But
I remember this like it was yesterday. The show you had done that night was in Winsboro at the Barrel House, and we were there.
At the Barrel House.
Yep, we were there for that show. It was my first time ever seeing you live outside of my own living room. So we were there, and so I woke up the next morning, and of course Rachel, your wife, had let everybody know on social media what was going on with you, and me and my wife were just completely blown away because you were so full of life the night before. You were so entertaining and so there, and then the next morning it was just like hit or miss or piss and go, like you're calling it. And so for the next several days after that, we didn't sleep hardly at all. We just kept refreshing your wife's page to see if there was any updates. And man, it was I can't imagine what that was like for you, especially for Rachel and your daughter. But to see the outpouring of love for you from the East Texas community, I've never seen anything like it. And I've been a member of the East Texas music community for a long time. I know how close knit it is. But it's so cool to be reminded of that when one of our own is suffering, and what a thing.
I will tell you, as being a part of this community for so long, and I've met so many young and old musicians, and this, that, and the other. Man, when that happened, and they had, I know it sounds ridiculous, but they had sent me to Dallas. Right after Tyler, after they had downgraded me, they sent me to Dallas. Roads were frozen like crazy, like it was ridiculous. So they sent me to Dallas on air flight. So they air flighted me out there, and so I'm sitting there, and my wife couldn't make it because all the roads were blocked off, and they just wouldn't let nobody get on the road on 20 or nothing. And so I was up there by myself. So they did a whole bunch of like blood draws and like all this stuff, like they're testing you like every 3 minutes, that kind of thing, and to make sure that you're okay, that everything's taken, you're not clotting, you're not doing. So the crazy thing is Meredith Crawford released God Made Horses, Why God Made Horses.
Yep.
And I know that sounds such a ridiculous thing, but like it was the exact song that I needed for that time. I was by myself. I needed to reflect on what had just happened. Like I almost felt guilty for surviving. It was so crazy. Like I just like why? Like why do I get to be here? You know, like this is not that I'm not thankful, like, but like why? There's so many other people that I think is more deserving. You know, but it's and then I start scrolling through my wife's Facebook, listening to this song, and see all everybody's messages and comments, and it's something like 6 and 7,000 and 8,000 and 9,000. I'm just like, this is the most incredible thing I think I've ever seen in my life. Like this is crazy, and it just showed like that our community is such an outstanding community. Like our music community is it's unlike anything else. The talent is off the charts.
Absolutely.
You have to be good every night in East Texas. It's not like that everywhere. Yeah. I hate to tell people that. If you think that your music area is good, come try to play East Texas because it will humble you immediately. Mm-hmm. There is some ridiculous people here. It is young, old, down the middle. Like it is incredible.
And we can definitely talk about that for hours and hours and hours of all the fabulous artists that are around here. So, from songwriters to I mean, all genres, rap, hip hop, metal, punk. I mean, you name it. I mean, you know, I was associated with the East Texas Music Awards for a really long time, and that was kind of maybe wasn't quite Nathan's aim, but it was damn sure my aim to be a spotlight for artists of different genres. But you also have to kind of own the fact that not only is the community really, really supportive, but you are a very highly loved member of that community, and that has to be eye-opening.
Yeah, it is eye-opening to see that you matter in your own world. You know what I mean? Just to because you play so many gigs a year that and not all of them are great gigs. I hate to tell people that. Like you just have to kind of brush those off. But to see like the outpouring of people who are they're there to just say, man, you can do it. Like get up, like that kind of thing. Like we're gonna need you to get up, like stop crying and get up. You know, like that kind of stuff. Like that's the way our musicians talk to each other. Like I'm gonna need you to stop crying, and when you have to remember
too, you have to remember too that you know as a band, artist, singer, whatever, you don't really have that opportunity to go to another show because you're playing on the same dates, you know. And and you mentioned the incredible talent that's around here. So the fans of the music can choose anywhere to go. So that's another
everywhere.
thing. You know, they could when they choose your show, that's kudos as well. We talked before we started filming today about my favorite Clint Alford song, and I want to kind of insert that here because it's relevant to your story. You know, before we get into that, what's the outlook now? What's the prognosis for you?
The outlook right now is well, you know, it's really strange because right now I get told that they don't have the technology to fix anything. Because if they went in, it's like, say if you kink a water hose on both ends, if you leave it long enough, it'll bubble. So then if you let off the pressure, then it can still blow up here or it can still blow up on either end or whatever else. So right now there's not enough technology at the moment to fix what I have. So basically all they have to do, all I'm doing right now is like maintaining whatever medicines that I'm taking. Make sure my blood pressure stays at a certain level because of the pressures in here. It has to be low. And then just not really overexert. And if I overexert, then I get hurt. Like that's like,
yeah.
I know it sounds ridiculous, but like if my family helps me load in, load out a bunch of time, a lot of the time. And if it wasn't for them helping me on a bunch of these nights so I can continue to do this, then I wouldn't be still doing it. Like it would be, you know, but I mean, there's certain nights where I am completely by myself and I'm traveling by myself and that kind of thing. And I'm loading in and out. But after the next couple of days, you kind of feel it a little bit more than you would. But I mean, as far as that goes, I'm just like maintaining my body, like just trying to stay healthy as I can, watch what I eat, that kind of thing.
And so
You
at
know,
this point in time, I know all of us are stubborn, and we can be boneheaded and all of
yeah,
that. So you kind of have to let your own mortality rule the world here instead of letting your stubbornness come in. And it's
Yeah.
okay for her to talk and stuff like that. This is not like some kind of whatever. But